All right, guys, Darren from FBA Elite, and welcome back to another video. So this week we're going to be doing some product research. Now, I know a lot of new sellers do get stuck at the product research stage. So hopefully by me doing another example of how I find products on Amazon and sharing with you my analysis as I go, hopefully it will help you guys find the right products for you as well. So I don't know if I'm going to publish this video at the moment because I'll only publish it if we find some good products. So if you're watching this video, make sure you stick around because we're going to find hopefully a good product, even though I have no idea what it's going to be at this point. So let's jump onto Amazon and think of a starting point for you, whether that's a hobby or an interest that you've got, something that you know a lot about, or if you just want to do some general product research, just have a look around where you are. You know, I'm in my office at the moment. There's various products dotted around, some which I could see as potential FBA products, others that I wouldn't look at. So a lot of the electronics I wouldn't look at. But we've got some other stuff on my desk at the moment. For example, we've got a super exciting 60cm ruler. Got a Perspex frame there, picture of the wife and I, a mini tripod, desk fan, all that will probably be seasonal. So just take an object and go to Amazon, because it's not necessarily about the first thing you put in. It's where we go after that, because we're going to use my favorite method, which is the store raider method, which I've used many times. And we're going to see what products we can find, see what pops up. But like I say, I'm only going to publish this if at some point I find a good product or a good niche for you guys to take a look at. So let's start off with that one there. So we've got a 60cm ruler, super exciting. I'd imagine this is going to be quite low value. But once it's loaded up, we will fire up our extension. So we're going to be using Helium 10. I've got Jungle Scout as well, but I always use Helium 10 since the update to X-Ray. I find it by far the best tool for me and I stick with it. And as you guys know, I use Helium 10 for lots of other areas of my FBA business. And of course, I'll stick some discount codes down below and probably pop some up on the screen as well. So let's take a look at this. Now, I'm not actually too interested in what the results are like for the ruler that's on my desk. What I'm looking for are sellers that are doing well within this niche, but at the higher price points, because what we're trying to find is sellers that are already doing well, and then we're going to look at their other products to get ideas from. So you're really going down the rabbit hole, you're raiding their store, and you just don't know what you're going to find. So what I'm going to do is just sort these by price order, and then I'm going to look down the sales list until I see something at least in the hundreds. So we've got these guys here, 141 isn't too bad. Toolzone at 156. Rolson, who are a brand I've heard of, so I would ignore any brands you've heard of because that will be skewing the sales. We've got these guys here, Siamer, 133. But let's take a look. Let's just click on one of these. So if you saw a seller in here that was selling at a reasonable price point, now ideally I'd recommend kind of going upwards from £15. This one's at $10.29, but it is only a ruler. But let's click through. And then we're going to look at their store and see what other products they sell. So let's click onto their store link there. And once it pops up, go to the products tab. Now this won't be visible on mobile, but it is visible on desktop view. So click onto the products tab. And then we want to run our Chrome extension again. So I'm going to click on Helium 10 and run X-Ray. And now we can get some really completely unique ideas that we have no idea what we are going to find. So if we sort these by sales and see what their most successful products are at the moment, we've got the balloons, so birthday balloons there at a very low price point, so I would completely skip over that. We've got some, it looks like an ice scoop there, around about £10. So like I said, I'd prefer something a bit higher up, but let's just take a look at this anyway, because you never know what you're going to find with this stuff. So this is the actual product, which is a stainless steel ice scoop and a U-shaped ice tong. So let's just go to the top level category rather than searching just within home and kitchen. And let's pop in here some ice scoop. That might not be the main keyword, but we can certainly use this to start with. And let's see what these products are actually selling like. Now, I'm in the UK and we are just moved into July. So there's a good chance that the sales figures are really skewed at the moment. So the rest of the year, these probably don't sell very well. But just, first thoughts looking at the sales there, they're quite well distributed. That's the first thing I'd notice. The price point is concerning because it is quite low. But if you can still see super cheap, you never know, there may be an opportunity there. And I have had success in the past with products around about £10 or just under. That's before I become VAT registered. Once you become VAT registered, it becomes a little bit more difficult to compete at these price points. So just be aware of that. So if we just run through these results from left to right, just to talk you through the process of how I work when I'm analyzing search results. So the first thing I do is I hover over these links, or you can just look through the search results before you do this, just to ensure you're actually comparing like for like products, because what happens quite often on Amazon, if you're looking at some of the more obscure niches, you might have maybe 5 to 10 relevant products and then another few products that have no relevance at all, and they could be skewing the figures. So make sure all of the products that you're using for analysis and getting stats from are actually relevant to the actual search term you are looking for. So that will look fine based on the quick look through that I just took there. I'll then look at the brand to make sure we're not being dominated by a big brand that we all recognize, or maybe a particular private label brand which is just dominating the niche. So we've got a good mixture of different brands here, so I have no concern. And just to confirm that, I would scroll to the right just to make sure there are plenty of FBA sellers as well. If I saw lots of AMZ listings or lots of MFN listings, then there may be some red flags. If I see a lot of AMZs, then it can be difficult to overtake and dislodge products being sold directly by Amazon. And if there's a lot of MFN listings, it quite often means the product is quite expensive to fulfill on Amazon. So that's why people are using MFN instead of FBA. The next thing I'll do would be to look at the price, and I've already mentioned this is on the low side. So if I was entering this niche, I'll just be looking to add value to try and push my price point between the £10 and £15 mark so I can make a bit more profit. Sales are reasonable depending on what your goals are. If you're looking to sell between maybe 100 to 200 units, this sales distribution here is quite nice, and there's certainly enough evidence here to suggest at this point in time that you could make those sort of sales. But as I mentioned, this is probably a seasonal niche, and the good thing with X-Ray, we've now got the search volume history built directly in. So this will show me the search volume for, I think it's iScoop that I searched for. So if I put this on the 1 year view, rather than going through individual products to check seasonality, you can just do an overview of the search term. And we can see here from last summer, around July, August time, things dropped off from September. As you'd expect, we're pretty low up to April, May, and then things have picked up again. So the sales figures at the moment are definitely overinflated. So I would avoid this niche because you're going to be getting maybe a 3 to 4 month window per year where you've got decent sales, and then you've got pretty much from September to March, April where things really do drop off. So that's something to be aware of, but I'm just going to complete the analysis of this niche before we move on. You can look at revenue if you prefer to instead. So whichever one you want to focus on, sales or revenue, I'm happy for you guys to work either way. BSR, I pay no attention to because it's all about sales and revenue. FBA fees, of course, pay attention to that. I don't really look at active sellers. Ratings, this is important. If everyone's at 5 stars, I'd probably avoid the niche. I want to see people at kind of 4.5, 4 stars. If everyone's at 5 stars, it's very difficult to compete, as maintaining a 5-star perfect average is very, very difficult. And to get a 5 stars in your listing, you have to be at a 4.8 average or above. So I think there's only, well, that one's a sponsored listing, so only 2 organic 5 stars in those search results. Now, a lot of people will look at the review count to see how competitive a niche is, and it can give you an indication. You know, if you saw lots of sellers here with maybe 4-figure reviews, then maybe it would show that the niche is really competitive. But certainly looking at this, with people with a couple hundred reviews and then these lot in double figures, there is nothing in that review count that would put me off entering this niche. Now, with the theory that the more reviews there are, the more competitive the niche is, that is justifiable, but at the same time, if you enter the niche with the right unique selling point so that you're not being compared on reviews, you're being compared on what you offer over the other product, then reviews become a lot less important. And I've shown in previous videos that I was able to enter a niche where products had thousands of reviews and I was in single figure reviews and I was able to get onto that first page. So certainly don't rule out a niche based on the review count if you can figure a good way for your product to stand out. If you're just going to enter with another product that looks like everyone else, then the review count is much more important, and that would be a reason to avoid the niche. Other than that, the rest of the data on this page, I don't really pay a huge amount of attention to. Maybe a quick glance at the creation date to make sure there's not lots of new listings. If all of these listings were created in the last couple of months, then it could indicate it's either a fad product, or it could indicate that maybe there's restrictions on selling this listing and people are selling the products and then getting kicked off. So do glance over at the creation date. It's also important to be aware of dimensions and weight, because if it's super heavy or if it's very large, then your fulfillment fees will go up. But looking at the estimated fulfillment fees that we saw on the other column, things don't look too bad. Generally, I would expect to spend around 30% of the sale price on the fulfillment fee and the referral fee combined. So around 30% of your sale price will go to Amazon. If it's a lot higher than that percentage, then potentially it might not be the right fit for the FBA model. But that's certainly the kind of the rule of thumb that I use, is 30% of the fees or 30% of my sale price will go to Amazon. So overall, this niche, yes, the sales are quite nicely spread, but the seasonality issue is a big problem and the price point is quite low. Let's try another product and just go down this rabbit hole again with something completely different. So I've got the Perspex frame there on my desk. I've got all the electronic products, I've got the webcam, I've got the lighting, I've got the white screen behind me, and that's on a T-stand tripod as well. But I think let's go with the Perspex photo frame or the acrylic photo frame, because these things are really nice, and I haven't seen too many of these about, so I think it's certainly something that would appeal to people when they're looking for photo frames. Let's see what the stats are like on this. So photo frame, is it acrylic or is it Perspex acrylic? There we go, acrylic photo frame. Yes, this is exactly the sort of product that we've got there. Let's see what the stats are like for this. And of course, we'll jump into one of the top sellers that are selling at the higher price point. And you can see straight away the top organic seller is doing really well, and they are selling at a very high price point compared to the rest. And it looks like it's because they are bundling. So yeah, they've got a pack of 5 there. And that's something you can do to stand out in the market, is introduce a multi-pack. So let's take a look at these guys. Oran Life, that's their brand name. And let's click onto their store. So let's run X-ray on this and see what we get, see if there's anything that's worth looking into a bit further. And the first thing I always do when I load up the individual product stores is to look at the sales by volume. So up the top, they've got Garden Genie gloves with claws. That's a new one on me. We'll take a look at that in a moment. They've got wire rope. That's selling for $24.99, 337 units per month. A laptop stand. So those really will be the 3 products I'd click on. The volume of these ones are quite low, so I'd just skip those. But let's just take a very quick look through these niches to see what we've got. So up first, we've got this laptop stand, and this one's actually Amazon's choice for vertical laptop stand. So let's click on this. We could type it in ourselves into the search bar, but let's try vertical laptop stand and see what figures are like for this niche. So again, X-ray, load this up and run through it from left to right. So I can already see without even hovering over, all these thumbnails are comparable. These are all vertical laptop stands. Now, there does seem to be a couple of brands dominating here. So you've got OMotion and Vadir seem to be the ones that are dominating this. Now, that wouldn't necessarily put me off completely. I would certainly be looking to see how I could stand out against those listings before I'd let that be a strong enough excuse. The price point looks good. I like this type of price point in the £20 region with potential to go higher. You know, if you can push up towards 25 and towards 30, it gives you much more room for maneuver, especially when it comes to things like PPC. Now sales, looking at this would be ideal for someone looking between 1 to 200 units per month. So don't have any issues there. The sales are nicely spread. No one's dominating the sales. So that's what we look for, a good spread of sales. So if you land somewhere on this first page, you have a good chance of matching these types of sales. Revenue, like I say, use sales or revenue, whichever way you prefer to go. FBA fees are a little bit higher, as you'd expect, as the overall cost is higher. And if we just go over to the right hand side again, and we shall just double check the final few things. So the creation dates, there's no issues there. There's variable dates. There's no one all created in the last couple of months. And then weight isn't too bad. You know, between 1 and 2 kilo, that is not too bad. You'd certainly be sea shipping these in. There's no way you'd be flying these in. So overall, this niche is interesting. I haven't seen anything in the stats that would kind of be a red flag. I mean, we've also got the review averages. Everyone's at 4.7, 4.6. So most people in the listing are going to have 4.5 stars on the actual visual side of things. So that's absolutely fine. And again, we've got proof here that people with either single or double digit reviews are breaking onto this first page. So that shows as a new seller, you could potentially do the same thing. So overall, I would probably put this niche on a shortlist, and I'd come back and look at it in more detail when I wasn't at this stage of the product research. So I'd do this initial stage where I'd go through, shortlist a number of products, then I'd come back and look in more detail. I'd think, right, how can I stand out in this niche? And if I come up with some good ideas, I might then look into potential sourcing costs and see how the profit margins stack up and stuff like that. So on to the next product, so we can run through a few of these in this video. We've got the wire rope here. And this is the good thing with the store raider technique. I mean, no one's going to search for this initially, but going through the store raider, you just never know what you are going to find. So let's set this to all categories or all departments, and we'll try and find a good keyword. The fact they've got wire rope first suggests potentially that is the best one. Obviously, I wouldn't trust one product for this. I'd do my own keyword analysis. But for this example, let's just search for wire rope. We can scroll down here rather than looking through the thumbnails and see whether these are all comparable or not. And I believe they are. I'm just looking, these are all kind of braided steel ropes. So yeah, that looks good to me. So what I'm just going to do now is run X-ray and go through the stats from left to right like I have done in the other examples. So we've already gone through the products to check the comparables. So the next thing we look at is the brand. You've got Too Tacky appearing a few times, but I think that's because they're sponsored listings, so I'm not too worried about them. And there's no other big brands dominating either. Price point is very good, but I would really want to check what the sourcing costs of this type of thing, as material costs have gone through the roof recently. Sales are interesting. You've got a couple here doing 300 to 400 and then they drop off a bit. Again, I'll probably look at this niche, someone that's looking to sell around 150 to 200 units. That would be my initial target. And then if things go well, you can see there you've got scope to go a bit higher. But I certainly wouldn't enter this niche ordering kind of 500 to 1,000 units, expected to sell 300 to 400 per month to start with. I'd aim for 100 to 200, then scale it up depending on how things went. The next thing we'll look is the FBA fees. There's nothing out of the ordinary there. There are a couple that are a bit higher, but you'd have to check the overall dimensions and what's involved in these bundles. So this looks a lot more like a bundle product with a lot more involved. So it's got a higher price point. So your FBA fees are going to be higher because the higher your sale price, the higher your FBA fees are. So review counts look absolutely fine. No issues there. And just going over to the right hand side, creation dates, there's some really old ones in here, so that's a promising sign in the niche, plus some new ones breaking through as well. That's always good to see. Weight is a bit heavier, so be careful with the shipping costs, because just like material costs, shipping costs are sky high. So at 2 kilos per product, that could send the shipping costs quite high. And dimensions, I don't think would be a problem on this type of product. Oh, and just finally, the ratings. These look absolutely fine. There's not anyone's going to really be dominating this niche. You've got one seller there with a 5-star average. Other than that, everyone else is at 4.5 stars. So with this niche, again, I probably would keep it on the shortlist. I would be looking into these products to see what people actually used it for, how I could introduce something unique so I stood out within these search results. You can see lots of people already bundling in different ways. So I'd try to be a bit more inventive than just bundling, as you will get lost among these listings. But I'll keep it on the shortlist for now, despite the fact this bundling suggesting there's already quite a few FBA sellers in here trying to stand out. And the final product just for this group is the Garden Genie gloves with claws. So a very, very... I wouldn't say attractive, but certainly an image that would stand out within the search results. And that's always something to be aware of when you're developing a product. You really want to stand out in the search results, and this will catch your eye. You know, love or hate that color and the look, it would catch your eye. So let's take a look at garden gloves with claws. I can see Amazon choice for Garden Genie gloves with claws, but I'm just going to go put this to all departments. I'm going to pop in garden gloves with claws, and we'll see what this brings up. So as much as it stood out on its own, obviously it doesn't stand out as much compared to all these other people. So certainly the first thing I'd be looking to do if I was coming to this niche was not advertise it with these kind of greeny turquoise coloured gloves. You know, these guys stand out a little bit just because they're not being green or turquoise. So certainly make sure your model gloves were a different colour, even purple or black. But the green ones, everyone's just copying each other. So that's the first thing you could do to stand out. But there's lots of ways you can develop a product. They're all comparable. So let's jump straight on to X-ray and see what the actual stats are like for this niche. So from left to right again, the brands, no one brand dominating. You've got Ito or Aito. They've got a few products, but that wouldn't be a problem. Price point is super low, possibly too low. So unless you're going to be bundling up and offering multi-packs or adding other value, I probably wouldn't necessarily come in at this sort of price point. You may have, you know, an option to make money at £8, £9 possibly, but the sourcing costs are going to have to be super, super low. So the price for me is a red flag on this product at the moment. It certainly would be something that may be enough for me to just exclude it at the end of this analysis. Sales, there's not really... what I like to see is a consistent spread. So you've got 2 or 3 here at 120, 150, then at 1 at 380, and 1 at 100, and then the rest kind of are a bit all over the place in the low double figures. So between the price and the sales, I would probably just stop there. I don't see the point in wasting time doing more analysis when I can already say the price point and sales combined doesn't mean this niche is absolutely terrible, but I know there'll be better niches. We've already got 2 niches shortlisted that have a lot more appeal than this would. So I'd save my time and just close that down. So hopefully that gives you a quick idea of how I'd go through a few different products to analyze those. If we just do one more product, I'm trying to think of other products that I may have sold in the past that I maybe haven't talked about because I was selling them. We had the lunch bag niche, didn't we? So if you remember a year or two ago, I did a video discussing, I nearly launched a lunch bag and it was only the kind of profit margins not stacking up at the last minute that I decided not to. But let's go to the lunch bag niche and just see if we can find a seller in here selling something other than lunch bags. So we'll run X-ray. We'll see who is selling well and at a high price point, because generally if they're selling at a high price point in one niche, they should be selling at a high price point in other niches as well. So we'll sort this by price, see who's doing well. So you've got a few guys up here. £41 looks more like a bundled product than just a lunch bag. But yeah, you can see they're trying to add value, but they're doing okay. 250 sales at £41. I'm sure they're making a fair chunk of profit off of that. I mean, look at these guys here at $21.99. They're selling just under 3,000 units per month. I'm interested to see what other stuff they do actually. Let's have a look. So these guys are called LifeWit. Let's click through to their store. Interesting. Their actual company name is Yonto. No doubt would be a Chinese business. Let's take a look at their products and let's run X-ray again and see what we get. So wow, I mean, these are some pretty insane figures for these guys. Look, they're doing over $1 million in revenue every single month from 16 products. And I mean, that just shows the potential of FBA. You could launch 16 products and be doing over $1 million in revenue every month. Now, if you're getting 20-30% profit margins, what do we aim for? That's £200,000 to £300,000 per month. I mean, even if you said 10% profit margin, £100,000 per month sounds pretty good to me. And interestingly enough, they are using a similar approach for different bags. So they're always using the grey design with the black seam. And they've also gone into some of the other niches as well and just taken that same approach through. They're just sticking with a consistent colour because grey is very popular in the UK at the moment. A lot of people are buying grey products because that's kind of the interior design choice at the moment. And you can see how well all of their products are selling. So you could potentially go through here and look at all of these niches. So you've got the general, this is a cooler bag niche. That's probably spiking a bit at the moment due to it being the summer. But then you've got other things here such as closed storage bags. Let's just pick one of these because it's got loads to go through. I don't want this video going on too long, but if you want to go onto the LifeWit store, take a look through their products, you may find an opportunity for yourself. So these are closed storage bags. So let's just see if they've got Amazon choice. So they have for LifeWit closed storage bags, but I can't be bothered to type it. So we're just going to delete that and search again, and then make sure quickly that they are all reasonably comparable. Well, it looks like you've got some vacuum bags mixed in here, so maybe these won't be directly comparable because vacuum bags for me aren't directly comparable to these types of products. So let's see if we can find a better search term to use for these. So they've called these large capacity. Let's see what the auto suggest says. That's always a good way. So closed storage bags, let's go with large. Maybe that will help reduce this from having too many of the vacuum bags. So you've still got 1 or 2, 3 or 4. It's a proper mixture. So I could spend more time trying to find the best keyword, but just for this example, let's just try and run through the stats quickly and see what we've got. We're just trying not to pay too much attention to the ones that are vacuum bags, as I imagine they'll do crazy numbers. Let's just take a look through. So from left to right, not being brand dominated, we know the products aren't directly comparable. Like I say, find a better keyword and they should be comparable. Price point is okay. I would like to see this a bit higher. I would imagine looking at the size of these products, there's not a huge margin to be made, but the fact that all of these guys are in it at this price point, people are making money. People are always making money in every niche on Amazon. The question is how much money you want to make versus what's available to be made within that niche. We then have sales which are very, very strong, probably too strong for most new sellers. And to be honest, probably even too strong for me. I would probably shy away from this niche as there is just a bit too much competition. The amount of stock you'd need to order and the launch you'd need to carry out to get ranked in a niche like this would involve quite a hefty investment. So for me, the lower price point combined with the massive demand would be enough for me to exclude that product. But you're welcome to go through that if that was the sort of product you fancied taking on yourself. So hopefully you guys have found this video useful and it will help you with your product research. Maybe you could become a £1 million revenue seller per month with only 16 products like LifeWit were doing. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. If you want to talk to me and over 3,500 other sellers, go to FBAelite.com, sign up. It's completely free. We've got forums covering all areas of Amazon FBA, and we've also got the exclusive resources on there which will help you with your Amazon FBA journey. And if you want to learn more about developing your Amazon FBA business, we've also got the FBA Elite course on there as well. But that wraps things up for this video. If you want to see more from me, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.